Welcome to Agency for Agents, a podcast for real estate team leaders and independent brokerage owners looking to maximize profits, effectiveness, and gain freedom for their team and business. Your hosts, Christine Andreasen and Aaron Hendon, have been running one of the most successful real estate teams in the Seattle area for more than 8 years. They know building a winning team means finding ways to empower, nurture, train, and develop individual agents to discover their own power, their own agency. On the podcast, Christine and Aaron interview thought leaders in real estate and personal growth to help you impact both your performance and your teams. We know it takes a lot, and leaders and brokers that crack that code reap the rewards of success greater than any they could ever achieve on their own. All right. Today we have Dan Lazar. He is a serial entrepreneur living in Melbourne, Australia. He is known for successfully raising his first round investment in Shark Tank Romania, being named 30 under 30 by Forbes, and being a servant for social causes such as the education of children and providing shelter for the less fortunate, inspired by his Baha'i faith. He played professional tennis until he was 18, and one of his best results was becoming the vice champion of Romania under 18. He sold his first business in 2019 and made his first $1 million in sales through building sports facilities. He's currently the founder and CEO of HeroX.com.au, leveraging the power of predictive analytics to build $1 billion property development company by 2030 and helping 1 million people with education and shelter. It's a real pleasure to have Dan on the show. Can't wait to get to it.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the chance to be here. So I guess I'll start by giving you a brief background of
that would be great.
What I've done. Yeah, before real estate, I started 2 businesses and sold both of them. First one was a tennis academy. Second one was construction of sports facilities and specifically air domes. Air domes, it's a specific structure that covers tennis and soccer fields. And even though I enjoyed doing these 2 businesses, I felt like I needed to do more to get closer to my dreams. Therefore, I was inspired by a friend of mine who's the biggest property developer in Romania. Therefore, I shadowed him for a few months, and then I decided to go into property development in Australia. And the journey here was quite interesting. I started a property development company during COVID. If it were not due to COVID, maybe I would have started my first deal a lot faster, but COVID probably gave me a bit of breathing room to allow myself to educate myself further about property development for another year. And March 2021, we secured the first deal, and our approach is a bit different. I would say that we have a data-driven approach, and then I'm a bit different also in how we secure these properties. So we have a specific method where we analyze a lot of data points to find out what is the price for a development site. So let's say I go through all of the sales of development sites in one suburb, and then if my target is to develop, 5 or 6 townhouses, or depending on what product I aim to put on there, I then again analyze all of those sales of townhouses in that area. And in this way, plus other data points, you can find out where your strategy can be more profitable. Maybe your strategy can be, if you're doing apartments, you should be in one area. If you're doing townhouses in another area. If you're doing, depending on your strategies, there are areas where we can make more profit by analyzing data. And this is what is guiding us in where we choose to farm for opportunities. And then farming for opportunities, it's also be different. A lot of people buy properties on the market. I don't even look at what's on the market, just because I try to be very aggressive in my buying price, so it decreases the risk of the deal. So then I don't care about what happens to the market, just because maybe I already have a million in sort of equity, or just due to the buying price that I was able to achieve.
So tell me about that for a second. So first, let's just go back for a second. How'd you go from Romania to Australia? That's a little bit.
Or why?
It's like,
right?
Obviously in a plane, but what the how part? But what made you leave Romania to get to Australia?
50% is the fact that my wife is Australian. So this is an important fact to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And 50%, I guess it's due to my big dreams. I felt like if I were to start a property development somewhere, Australia would be one of the best places due to the fact that it holds the record for 27 years of non-stop growth in the world. No other country grew for 27 years their GDP. And secondly, due to the demand and immigration, the real estate market is booming. Obviously, people didn't immigrate here due to COVID, but that's just an exception. Usually, 350 to 400,000 people move in here each year.
Wow. All right, good. And then talk to me about the data points that you're using. The bio, when we look at your bio, it's talking about predictive analytics. Is that what we're talking about, just having a sufficient number of data points to be able to predict the return, the ROI? Talk to me about a little bit about what you're using for your data points.
Yeah, it's a bunch of things. So one of them is the amount of data points that you use to find out if this is a good area to farm for opportunities, depending on our strategy. Secondly, I have a friend who has a business, and basically by looking at roughly 50 data points about the area and 50 data points about the property specifically, he's able to get a good idea if that's an area where the property prices will grow. And this is also important for me, as I'm always retaining stock in whatever we develop. So I'll give you some examples of the data points that we're looking at. For example, if it's about the area, how close is it to lifestyle elements? Just because that improves the quality of the life that people are living there. And specifically, another thing that we do, we try to only develop next to parks, rivers, and ocean. So this is another little thing that we do just because I feel like I would love to live in those places. Therefore, I feel more aligned and passionate about developing them. And secondly, it's if a crisis comes, I feel like those areas will be a lot less affected than any other areas. If you're next to the train lines, then you'll have to take a bigger hit on the price.
Yeah.
And I guess last but not least in this data direction, we also have a way in which we leverage data and web scrape data in order to find out from a lot of different websites what are the addresses that already have some sort of pre-approval for development. So usually the process in Australia, you buy a property, you get it approved for a year, and then it takes you another year to develop it. We have a special way in which we find these addresses. So we only target and farm the addresses that already have a pre-approval in place. This is something that is, I think it's impossible to do it if you target on the market. If you target off the market, it's also very hard. I don't know anybody else that is doing it. But
and when you say they're pre-approved for development, meaning ordinance-wise, or the property itself has pulled permits for something and not followed through?
The property has a valid permit, and usually 50% of them, maybe they're not even for sale because it's just another developer who's looking to sell, or the owner just placed the permits in place, so it increases his chance of getting a higher price, or maybe he was about to develop, but he didn't have the money, or there are other elements. So I met somebody that was 8 years old and
there was a FSBO, who's exactly that circumstance. He's got a permit pulled. We were just talking to Christine. We're looking for a developer to buy it from him.
You want to move from Australia to Seattle?
Maybe for the right opportunity, you never know. I'm joking, but
now this is a much smaller deal than you'd be. This is $1 million upright. So it's not a huge deal, but it's that kind of deal. Like someone's got permits, then a lifestyle change. And it's interesting, my last 3 guests have been developers, property developers, and everyone's bringing not just a different set of criteria. I mean, I know your set of criteria would be valuable to anyone, but everyone's got how they find those properties and how they find the cities to move to and like that. I just think it's fascinating to be able to look at those data points and understand the risk reward, to be able to balance the risk reward on pulling the trigger on something like that. I interrupted you.
Wait, I have a question for you. Okay. You said something about you want to know where it's predictable, what the trajectory is, because did you say you retain stock in it?
Yeah. So if we develop, I don't know, a package of units, then I always retain at least one.
Oh, you keep one unit.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's fabulous. All right, good. I like it.
Yeah, this also keeps me a bit grounded just because I always retain stock. I always give the development a lot of scrutiny in terms of the quality of its floor plans. I feel like there's elements that I will not consider to pay attention to unless I would personally hold stock in the development. So then it gives me, it just aligns my interest even further with the future buyers like this, because I'm able
You're in the game with them, right? Yeah. You have a vested interest as well. Makes really great sense.
And that's the same thing with the areas themselves, or areas you're interested in. It's funny because, you could just pick any place, and yet you've got your personal, like you said, you got your heart in it. You got your personal view involved, which gives you some way of narrowing it down. Good. What else? Anything? What else did
How long have you been in Australia now doing this?
So 2020 was the year that I relocated here, so it's pretty fresh. However, our first development, I call them nature scrapers. So first development, I call it a river scraper, is 50 meters away from the Yarra River, the main river in Melbourne, and second one is I call it a park scraper. So because it's virtually immersed in nature, it has a creek in the back, a trail on the side, and then park in front. So
fabulous.
There's two more reasons behind this very specific strategies. One, I've been inspired by this developer in Romania. Their name is U18 Properties. They were able to scale from 0 to 1 billion in 10 years by only developing next to nature. Due to this, you're able to go a bit higher end, to spend more money because people will pay more money for a product. So this is probably 50%, and 50%. It gives me the flexibility. If I don't get the right price point, I like those locations so much that I'm able to keep everything.
Awesome.
Great. And when you're figuring in I know that it's been a problem here. I assume it's been a similar problem with supply chain and material costs skyrocketing. And, when you're talking about development, a lot of developers I talk to have brought the whole thing in-house. They're not, they have a production, they have a advertising, they have a development, a builder's arm of their business. How is your business divided out, and how do you deal with figuring out the right price to ask given the volatility in supply in materials?
So construction-wise, I would say that we're sort of virtually integrated with the builder. This is an area where my wife brings a lot of value just because she's a project manager for a builder. So I usually engage her employer. Therefore, we're very, very hands-on with everything that we do. And from getting twice as many quotes for each line of expenses in the budget to pushing people twice as more. Because usually I feel like developers and builders, sometimes they don't have their interests aligned, just because for a builder, if he finishes in 6 months or in 12 months, usually it is not a huge difference. You can't ask for, $500,000 in penalties. However, for me, it's $500,000 in cost, in a difference in cost due to the holding cost. So that's why being virtually integrated allows us to achieve a lower price and also faster timeline and to be really performant with what we do. We recently got a compliment from our lender. He's been lending to developers for the last 30 years. He's never seen construction projects for townhouses that are as fast as us. So that was something that we truly treasured.
That's great. Very good. And how's the resale market in Australia? What's the general, how's it?
Prices are very high here compared to Romania, where I'm originally from. Yeah. So they're into the millions. What we're selling now, I would say, is ranging from 1 to 1.25 million to, let's say, 1.5 million. But that's roughly the range. But it's a lot of pressure because a lot of people are still excited to get into the market, and usually a good way to get into the market is through a townhouse. Then I guess there's a lot of pressure on the buyers and also on us, because it's a bit harder and you need to negotiate a bit harder on finding these development sites.
Sure. Has your market starting to soften at all? We were getting 10, 15, 20 offers last month, going 30% over list. And in the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, we've got properties going all the way through offer review date was 0 offers. Today I showed a house at 1.4 yesterday, and he goes, I got no offers. Not even a super, super luxury. And 1.4 in Seattle is not super high. So it was crazy that it got no offers. Are you guys starting to see some of that? Does that worry you at all?
Look, we probably have seen a decrease in the number of inquiries. I'm not too concerned because I've been in part of the sales meetings. I've seen the level of interest that people showed. So worst case scenario, maybe I need to correct the price with, 50,000 and get everything sold. But this is something that I'm mindful of, but I show my mindfulness by continuing to acquire and being very aggressive with the prices that we offer. I would rather make another 100 offers and get everything rejected than buy at the wrong price point, because I feel like, I think in development specifically, and maybe in real estate in general, you make money when you buy.
Totally.
Then I know the construction price, I know the selling price. There can be variations, but not huge. If I bought $1 million under market, then I know that's my profit.
Yeah. That's what we always tell our clients here is that the money's made on the buy. I had an investor come to me and he was insisting that he was going to sell the place cheap and at 1.4. And I said, that's not cheap. He said, it's not really going to sell for more than 1.2. And he was saying, well, I paid more than 1.2.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know you didn't come to me before you bought it. I don't know what to tell you. This is a bad purchase on your part.
Now talk to us about, you give back a lot. I saw in your bio, you have a real commitment to education and being of service and a service heart. Yeah,
look, I consider myself very, very lucky from having two parents in my childhood to having the chance to play competitive tennis for a long time, and this allowing me to develop. I think I'm abundantly lucky in a lot of ways, and due to this, I feel like giving back is also a duty and something that I enjoy. So I started slowly, basically. After I sold my first company, I got somebody off the streets. So there is a homeless person that I just pay his rent. Then after I sold my second company, I did 5 water wells in Burundi. And now our aim is through HeroX, the property development company, to create a shelter from a container for a homeless person for each unit that we build and sell. And secondly, I've also started a charity, Become a Hero.charity. The website should be ready soon.
We saw that, yeah.
Yeah, where we aim to help in more directions. So shelter, food, water, and to just increase the level of impact that we're able to generate through what we do and potentially what other people want to do. And what's different with this, I'm trying to make it a very clear connection with what you donate and what happens. A lot of charities, you donate $50 and you don't know what's happening. So everything, we have clear costs. Okay, this is a water well in Burundi is 2,000 euros. If you donate 2,000 or if you donate 1,000, it doesn't matter. Then your name will be on that water well, and it's very, very clear what is happening with the money.
That's very cool. That's very great. Cool. Thanks for doing that. And then, Christine, anything else that you wanted to ask?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not I can think of.
So Dan, anything you got cooking that you're really excited about, or anything you want to share with people listening that they might be able to use in terms of their building their own businesses, building their teams, building their businesses,
and giving back to their teams? Yeah.
I enjoy sharing, so I have a lot to share, I guess. If we were in the direction of, I guess, growing your team, I think it's always important to align your interests in whatever you do. That might be in the shape of sharing the results that you're going after or doing whatever. This is the way in which I've seen I was able to get the most from my team. If they were not just getting a wage, but they were part of the result. They were getting, their bottom line would be higher depending on the company's bottom line as well. And I guess getting back to... So
you share proceeds with your team, profits.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. Awesome.
That's pretty great.
And I guess getting back to real estate is, I guess, if you want to become a real estate investor, talk with as many developers as you can. It's because I think you might be able to get good opportunities through them, or at least get a bit of education. I feel like I had to educate a lot myself. And I feel like if people would do at least part of the things I tell them to do, they would be able to get ahead through property a lot faster.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
That's cool, man. All right. And Dan, what are you reading now? What should we be reading that we're not reading?
Our favorite question. What book's on your nightstand, huh?
Yeah, I'm not a nightstand kind of guy. I listen to Audible just because I'm commuting a lot.
Same.
Yeah, I try to listen to at least a book per week. Currently, I'm listening an interesting book. I've seen it on a podcast, the podcast of Patrick Bet-David. He's a guy with a big insurance company in the States. He was recommending No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah,
so I never heard of it.
Yeah, it's an interesting book, sort of telling you how to be more aligned with yourself and help others in different ways. Not really, I don't know, giving up everything that you have. I don't know. If you take care of yourself, you're in a better position to take care of everybody else.
Yeah, very good. All right, good. And who wrote it?
So the name of the author is Robert Glover.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Well, great. Dan, we just really appreciate your sharing what's happening down under, what's happening with you and your story with us, and give us an opportunity to start thinking about development in that way. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for getting up so early to be with us. We hope it started your day well.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It was exciting. I enjoyed the questions, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Fabulous,
Hope we meet
Dan.
again. Bye, Dan.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Abundant Life Podcast, brought to you by Christine & Company and eXp Realty, the global online brokerage powered by top agents and cutting-edge technology. If you liked what you heard, consider subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts. Your hosts have been award-winning brokers Christine Andreasen and Aaron Hendon. For more on them, visit christineandcompany.com.